how can we help with the progress of the bill?
Did everyone hear that question? What are...
I'm just asking for...
I'm hoping to get a little more information of how we can all move the progress of this bill forward through the legislative session by knowing who the opponents might be right now, what are the odds of making it through committee and making it to the floor, and who do we need to start sitting on now?
I'll let Senator Work. I think Senator Work has a question.
For Senator Work.
So I can certainly address that. Yesterday, the committee met and appointed the committees in the state senate. And I encourage everyone to go to the legislature's webpage. You can just Google in New Mexico legislature and look at those committee makeups. The Senate Public Affairs Committee is chaired by Senator Ortiz-Pino from Albuquerque. And so that was Senator Feldman's committee, and I think Senator Ortiz-Pino is someone who will be certainly favorable to this legislation. So my approach with any bill is to work one step at a time and really figure out what we need to do to move the bill on Thursday, which is the Senate Public Affairs Committee. And so the great thing about having Eleanor helping, and I encourage everyone to connect with her and get your emails, and so that she can let everybody know, is that when we go into that committee, we need to talk to those members and figure out kind of whether we can move it forward. I feel optimistic that we can move it forward. Then it moves into the Senate Judiciary Committee, which this is my 5th year on that committee. Again, I'm very encouraged at the broad breadth of support for this bill. We have our Native American community, we have our Acequia community, we have our New Mexico small agricultural community. Those are all positive things. And so I just think we do this one step at a time, and then hopefully we can get this to the floor of the Senate and have that discussion on the floor of the Senate. We need 22 votes. So that's really what it comes down to pass the bill, and I just would encourage everyone to stay plugged in, and let's do it one step at a time.
So these two gals here in the audience, Yunjun and Hannah, if they do not have your contact information, please give it to them. We will call upon you to help us with whatever. I apologize, it's ran out. So
we've got a list over on the table there. Sign in, print legibly, and check in that you want to volunteer. Okay, Hannah's got...
We have another question. Yes?
Just a quick announcement. In Santa Fe, who's going to be so in Santa Fe, we're having our first volunteer meeting, our kickoff meeting, next Wednesday, the 3rd. It's running from 6:30 to 7:30, and it's going to be at the Southside Library. It's going to be a great way to learn more about how to get involved. We'll be training people up. We'll be talking about how we're going to organize around this issue.
In
Albuquerque on January 30th, we'll be at the podcast at 7 p.m. to do this locally, which is Albuquerque.
Sign in so you can be notified.
So one more thing about the committee process. I mean, certainly as many people who can come, that's important. But you also will have an opportunity, and this is something that we need to work on and coordinate, to have public input. And again, we do go out to the audience. And so, I mean, I thought this was a terrific panel to give a kind of a variety of issues that are impacted. And so, again, this is the kind of testimony that we need the legislators on the committee to hear.
Any other questions?
Up front.
Yes? Please speak large.
I imagine that in certain circumstances there might be a disagreement as to whether a particular product is a GMO or genetically engineered product or not. So how would that be determined?
So that's a good question, and again, one of the issues that's come up, the bill that was introduced had a threshold down to 1%, which is, again, a number of states have done it that way. It's been brought up, and again, I really respect the tribal leaders and their position on having that be a zero threshold, which I think we will discuss and have a That's an important piece. I mean, one of the things with the labeling statute that's in place is it does empower the Environmental Improvement Board to implement rules and regulations. And so I think that's the administrative process that will necessarily need to happen, because again, we don't legislate every little piece of it, and of course that's subject to its own whims as we get to that point. I would be thrilled, though, to have a bill on the books that then puts it into that regulatory process, and I think that's where that will happen.
Anyone else? Any questions for any of our other panel members? Do you have a question? I want to thank questions for the court. I want to thank Carrie, Brian, for being the court.
I just wanted to let you all know that you can go to YouTube and on Google on Seed Sovereignty Declaration. There's a video on there that was done by local high school kids. Last year, I was fortunate to go to D.C. and gift a DVD to Mrs. Obama.
Wow.
They asked me why Mrs. Obama and not the Prez. I know the boss of the house. He's the boss of the house.
What is the name of the declaration? Seed sovereignty.
Seed Sovereignty Declaration of Mexico. So you get a chance. It's good.
Thank you guys all for coming.
We have another question here.
This is more of a comment than a question. I want you to know that Anonymous and other information activists have been working on Monsanto, and this operation, we have information about who are the people fighting this bill, people that you can boycott and be against, not just in support of the wonderful bill. So please look us up at Monsanto, and we have a lot of information about who is behind supporting this. Food companies that you would never dream, including Ben & Jerry's, by the way. So please, I think that would be an important thing to get out the information of who supports the GMOs, so that we can make informed decisions with our money. This is the only power we really have. Monsanto, there's plenty of videos on YouTube. It's information activists.
Thank you. Thank you to the panel. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.